Hello everyone, my name is Jared Hux and I am a wedding and portrait photographer based out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I edit photos and take photos for a living, and today I want to share with you a little edit here of a good friend of mine, Jordan, and I just want to show you what I've done with this photo and how I've improved it through my edits, and just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing and what my process usually includes. So first of all, this shot, just so you know, was taken with a Fujifilm XE1, not an XE2, so this is an older body, but with the new 56mm 1.2 lens. That's why I'm able to get this type of background. As you can see here, this is an f1.2 at 56mm, ISO 800. I don't know, I think I was shooting that low because we were in shade, but then I had him walk out, so I upped my shutter speed instead of dropping the ISO. So the shutter speed is at 1200th of a second, when I probably could have had it much lower than that and had my ISO at something a little bit more reasonable. If it sounds like I'm dragging the bottom, I am a little sick at the moment, so my throat is a little on the gurgly side. So if it sounds like I'm dragging the bottom, it's because my voice is a little strange at the moment. Okay, but this is one of my favorite photos that I took of Jordan this day, and I really love the way this looks. I just love the innocence of it, something very flat, something just eager about it that I like, and I'm just going to show you what it is that I really want to do with it. So first of all, I'm going to crop this in just because I don't really like the way he's standing. I would rather keep his shoulders maybe right on the edge of frame. So I'm just going to bring this down. I keep it locked because I like to keep it in 2:3 crop, especially for portraits. I use other crops, but you know, for portraits or something like that, I'd really like to just kind of bring it in. I really, because I'm not using his arms or anything like that, I'm not showing off the scarf. I really just kind of want to get him in the photo. I want to bring it maybe the crop into his shoulders. So I like right about here. I know this is a little different than most people would do a portrait. Most people use the thirds, line them up on left or right, but I just really like the straight on look of this photo. This isn't something I do a lot of, and that's maybe the reason I like it so much, is because it's just a little different than what I normally do. But I like this. I'm just going to go ahead and press enter. Get it out here. Okay, great. All right, first of all, I'm just going to go through a couple of presets here and see which one I like. Tri-X is really nice, especially in VSCO 6. This is the push-pull alternate development, usually, of how they do the film. So they have a few different looks that I think are really cool. The Plus series, which is pushing the film, push processing instead of pull processing, and I think this is kind of the way I want to go. So I have a little bit of the fade because I want to do something that looks a little bit more large format or maybe medium format. We're going to go through how I'm going to do that as well. Okay, so we're just going to start here at the push 1. So this is a good place to start. I think I like this, and this is what we're going to start with. So first of all, you can see that I've definitely blown out some of the some of the midtones here, or closer to the midtones. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the exposure down. Maybe see if I can pull some out of the highlights. Okay, that's maybe getting there. Okay, let me just bring the whites down a little. Okay, usually what I would do here, let's just go ahead and grab the radial filter, and I'm just going to grab this side of his face. Okay, and I'm going to bring the highlights down, and that way it doesn't affect any of the other parts of the photo. Okay, now I have a little bit more of a balanced look on his face. That's good. Okay, let's just go in and clean this up a bit. Okay. Skin's pretty good, especially for black and white. I don't like to keep it too polished for black and white. I like my black and whites kind of gritty, but I'm just going to clean up a few things here, things that I know aren't permanent on him. I don't like to try and make perfect skin or anything like that, but it's just to kind of get a few things that I know aren't going to stay on someone's skin. I don't like getting rid of scars or anything like that. So, you know, I wouldn't do that. That's You know, that's a smile line or a stress mark on his forehead. So, you know, that's something that he's got, something he's not going to get rid of. So I don't like to take those things off. But I do like to take things off that I know that are going to be maybe a little distracting. Oops. Okay, so let's go ahead and go in here. There's a little bit of a dark spot here. I'm just going to grab that and maybe sample out somewhere else. Let's see if I can make that look a little better. Okay. Yeah, it's working. Okay. He is of Greek descent, and he does have kind of a dark brow ridge. He has darker eyes. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and bring in a little bit more lightness around his eyes. So I'm at just a little over a third of a stop. I'm just gonna paint this in a little bit and see where we're at. And because I do have that bright highlight right here on the bridge of his nose, I'm just gonna bring the highlights down. This is not a normal form of editing, I'm sure, but it's something that I've just kind of found I like to do. I like using the adjustment brushes here. Okay, so that gives me a little bit. I like the way that's looking. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and zoom into 100%. This is pretty darn sharp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this, and we're going to work on the irises a bit. So good place. Okay. All right, now let's just go ahead and pull out. All right, you can see here this one looks a little bit lighter than this one does. So to even them out, let's just go ahead and put this on its own layer. Bring it down so it doesn't look so much, like you can go way too overboard. So let's just start at 0, work up 15. Okay, 0.34. That might be just a little bit too much. So let's just add a little bit of contrast to kind of bring it into play. There we go. Okay, great. It's a little too much, honestly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this one. I'm going to start with this one, actually. I'm just going to bring this down a bit to bring the intensity down from it a little bit. And then one thing that you can do is, without detracting from the way that you're editing the eyes, what you can actually do is add a little clarity, bring up a few things. Good. Drop in contrast, which will bring your darks up, or your darks down. It'll start to crush your blacks. So gives you a little bit more to work with, and that gives it a little bit more interest in the eyes, in my opinion. Okay, I'm almost done with this, at least the way that I'm going to keep it. What I really like about large format photography is that you can have a face in focus, but then, everything else can pretty much be out of focus. So as you can see, if I zoom in here, his eyes are in sharp focus, but his ears are out. So we already know that I have a thin depth of field, but what I want to do is I want to maximize that as much as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and take a radial filter. This is kind of the way people do selective focus or tilt shift type of photography. So what I'm going to do is I'm just actually, this is bugging me. I'm going to go ahead and do this right now. Go ahead and grab my my little stamp tool here and just fix that. That's bugging me. There we go. Okay, that's a little less distracting now. Okay, so I'm going to grab the radial filter. Yep, that one's in place for a reason. Okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to put a radial filter right here over his face. I'm just going to drag it up. Keep it centered right here. Now what this does is it allows me to put a vignette if I want to. Invert that mask. Okay, so I can make it just that his face is brightened, even though that looks really silly. So I'm going to bring that back up. What I want to do is I actually want to take the sharpness and I want to drop it. Now what you'll see is that this will start to blur. Okay, so you see that? So before, after. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and bring this up because I don't want much of this scarf in play. And we already know that his ears are out of focus, so that's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and bring that back out so everything will blur the way it's supposed to. And then, you know, our feather is still at a good place, so it's going to blur in nicely and have a gradient from what's in sharp focus and what is being put out of focus on purpose. So as you can see, I already have one done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Option and Command, and what I can do is I can click, and it's going to duplicate the adjustment layer that I'm doing right now. So it'll put another on top of it, and as you can see, it's getting blurrier. Now I'm obviously going to take it a little too far. Okay. This is a little too far in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a couple back. Okay. I believe this is the last one. Yeah, so I'm actually going to bring that one back. And I'm going to add one more. So now we have two. Okay. Bring that out. Good. Okay, so now we have a very sharp focused face. I'm just going to bring this in and I'm going to go ahead and do a sharpening tone. Okay. Bring this up. Okay. His lips are in good focus. His nose is in good focus. His eyes are in good focus. We're just going to bring the sharpening up. The thing that I've found about the Fujifilm cameras is that the sensors really like to be pushed for sharpening. So you can go pretty darn far before you start getting a lot of artifacting and things like that. Let's see what it looks like without the grain. There's not much of a difference. I kind of like the texture that it's giving. Obviously, you can go way too far with it. But let's just go back down to just like, this would be kind of like the grain on a 100 speed film. So that's pretty nice. And I really like this. And I would consider that a finished product. This is, you know, a pretty easy to do process, and I think that's a pretty nice portrait, something that Jordan here could use for a profile picture, or maybe even something that he could use in a portfolio, because I know that he's trying to do a little bit more modeling, things like that. It gives a really straight on, easy look, something that he looks like. You can see things about him that you could use to their advantage or disadvantage. So I think this is a very telling and honest portrait of a very handsome young man. So if you'd like to see more of my work, please check out my website at jaredhux.com. You can also subscribe to the channel and see more of the stuff that I'm doing here. If you like these types of videos, please comment in the description below. Let me know what you like or dislike about them. That way I can make better content for those that are watching it out there. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.